Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of LA Noire. Let's continue from where we left off, and we are now going to be doing the first arson case, so let's do it.
Okay, everyone, keep it down. Cole Phelps joins the arson squad today.
How'd you like pork in that German whore, Phelps?
Phelps is up before a review board in December. Until then, he works the arson desk. End of story. Phelps.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what you did or didn't do, Phelps. I hear you're a good case man. But if you fuck up on my detail, I'll have you out of here before your feet touch the ground. Do we have an understanding?
Yes, sir.
Cap, we don't want a fucking rat like Phelps.
Can it, Tilden? Phelps, I'm partnering you with Herschel Biggs.
I don't do partners. You know that, Cap.
You do now, Biggs. Social basket cases like you two should get along just fine. Biggs will show you the ropes, Phelps.
This is arson. There are no ropes.
It shouldn't take long, then.
What he means is there's no evidence,
Start with
really,
these two.
that we don't
House
solve a lot of
fires.
things.
326 South Kenmore Avenue. Steffens' family was out of town when it happened. Then go to 4414 Rosewood, family by the name of Sawyer. Fire brigade will be on location.
Are they suspicious, Captain?
That's for you to find out, detective. Now get out of here. Both of you.
So,
Get out!
I don't remember the,
I don't care. I don't go in for letting gangsters
I
off
don't
scot-
I don't remember the arson cases that well. I do remember generally what happens, but I don't remember them that well. But I do actually like the captain already from the start, because the captain, you know, while he understands that Cole cheated, he at least understands that Cole is a good detective.
I say we
And then he can
bust
get
in
things
there
done.
and find the goddamn evidence.
I say we bust in there and find the goddamn evidence.
Door knocking all morning, but
Let me, hang on a second here. Here we go.
I
Yep.
gotta make in the car in the end. That's the creep. Walked down on his wife. Olive oil comes from olives.
Arson would probably be the least paid because they actually do not solve a lot of cases.
You think those Vice boys get any on the side?
Fire destroys most evidence. We can already see Herschel doesn't drive as much of a fancy car as Roy does.
How long have you been working arson?
We gonna do the small talk thing now? Talk baseball, exchange addresses? I don't think so. Feeling down, hotshot? Need a buddy? Or look somewhere else.
So this is how it's going to be, partner?
I already told you, I don't do partners. I seen you on your first day, hero. Walking into the station with your chest puffed out like a little kid at his confirmation. You wouldn't have given me the time of day. And now you need somebody, and that somebody's supposed to be me. Well, it's not gonna happen.
That's quite a speech. I heard you were the strong silent type.
You cracking wise, Phelps?
No, Biggs. I'm breaking the ice.
Just drive, hotshot.
Herschel's a very old school kind of detective, but he's actually a very honest guy. A lot of you guys will end up liking him later on. Okay.
There isn't much left.
There never is if the job's done properly.
You think it was deliberate?
Nah, that's real pain in her face. They would have moved out the things they care about if this was insurance. There's no mileage in this. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Hirsch. Cap this one.
Yeah, Mike Brannigan, Cole Phelps. It's okay, Brannigan. His name may be dog shit, but there's none on his hand.
No offense, Phelps.
None taken. Do you have anything?
The fire started late last night. Steffens family at Catalina Island. Won some kind of competition. Looks like the only thing they ever won in their lives. And they come home to this.
I'd say they were pretty lucky, really.
They don't have any insurance. Everything they own, including the house, is now that pile of rubble.
Where are they sleeping?
In the car. It's lucky the whole block didn't burn down. Word is they're bulldozing this whole neighborhood to build new homes for GIs. That's the man in the house. In the ruins. Terry Lady is his wife.
We'll take a look around.
That cop sounds like he's from New York. I actually grew up around a lot of people that talk just like that, like similar accents. But anyways, what I will say here is, we can already tell that these people are not guilty because of the fact that they didn't have insurance. So if somebody, doesn't, insurance is actually one of the primary reasons for arsons. People actually burn down their properties all the time because they know that they're going to get more money from their insurance than, keeping an old property around. So people do burn down their properties. It does happen. And another thing is these people were out of town on some contest when this happened. That's already suspicious too. So somebody wanted them out of the house.
Looks some barfly for the murder.
Also notice how there's not a lot of police, there's just firemen around. Firemen are going to be experts at arson cases. And also, I don't know anything really about, yes, this is a
Doesn't give me anything to go on.
I don't really know much about, fires, the specifics of that. The thing I will say, though, is, one thing I do know is that expert fire detectives can actually figure out where the fire started. So if, even if everything is burned down, how they usually catch people in arsons is they basically find out where the fire was started, where it originated, and how it started. How it started and where it started is the most important thing to, figuring out the truth behind a fire.
It would take a smarter man than me to connect that. Don't think this is any use to us.
Yeah, so see, you just don't find any evidence.
Maybe. No.
Mr. Steffens? Cole Phelps and Herschel Biggs, LAPD. I know it's a difficult time, but could we have a word?
Don Steffens.
You were out of town.
We won a prize. We had a wonderful time. Came home to this.
Do you still have the tickets?
Sure.
It's a formality,
Catalina
but
Island.
we'll need to speak to the issuing agent.
Travel agency. 1947.
Look, I'd appreciate it if we could get this over with.
Before I question him, I want to find all relevant evidence. Oh, here we go. This is going to be important already.
Recently serviced.
Instant heat.
Could be something to go on.
Isn't that the cop who caught the guy that was pretending to be dead?
That's all the evidence. That's it. That is it, pretty much. Travel competition.
Can you tell me any more about the prize that you won, Mr. Steffens?
Weekend at Catalina Island. My wife got this flyer in the mail from the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
Seems like good cop.
Did you enter any kind of competition?
My wife filled in a flyer. This lady just rung up and told us we won. It's the first time I ever won anything.
The Suburban Redevelopment Fund. Suburban Redevelopment.
The Redevelopment Fund. Did they offer to buy you out?
They're building new houses. They showed their money and most of the neighborhood just packed up and walked away. But I never bargained with them.
Good cop, I'll probably try.
GI houses?
Ah.
Yeah, something like that.
That's all we need for the moment, Mr. Steffens.
All right.
I thought that was good cop. It didn't seem to me like he was holding back anything here. Maybe there was something about the value of the property.
You see the papers? I guess he's thinking about his own family. I'd say he's searching for some kind of atonement right now.
Trace address for Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
Cole Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need information on the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
Yes, Detective. Just checking. The fund is a semi-government agency established to speed up the building of GI homes. It has private investors as well as a government endowment.
Huh. Do you have an address for them?
There is one listed here, corner of Beverly and Mariposa.
Thank you.
Here's the thing, is mixing government and private industry is, not necessarily always a good idea. Sold. Another house here that was sold. Some organized crimes will take advantage of government agencies, and there will be a lot of corruption. I remember that in The Sopranos there was the HUD scam. Tony took over. Let me turn it. I'm trying to remember how the scam worked in The Sopranos. Somebody let me know in the comments. But I remember in The Sopranos, it was like Tony took over the HUD scam, which was like some kind of government housing program in like poor neighborhoods, and he basically bought like a bunch of houses in like poor neighborhoods. I'm trying to remember what the Soprano family was doing specifically that was like a scam with that, but they were directly involved with that government agency and corrupt people in the government. Let me see here. What's Herschel?
We could hit the travel agent, or try this suburban lead.
Have there been any other house fires?
This is Arson. We get an average of 2 a night. Does that answer your question?
Think of the siren as lubricant for the great machine that is this city.
Go to the next house fire and check that one out.
Any available unit, meet the officer. 211 just occurred at 253 Main Street. Unit to handle code 2. Identify.
second house fire. This one's gonna be really brutal, I remember this.
Hi, Albert. We've caught this case.
Hey, Biggs. You have a partner? What gives?
This is Cole Phelps. You may have read about him.
Oh, now I get it. Hello, Phelps. Welcome to the netherworld of Arson. Family of 4 found dead in their beds. Heater exploded.
Another one?
Looks that way. InstaHeat Model 70. Before you get excited, we get a couple of water heaters a month go bang. Take a look around the yard and see what you can find.
Okay. Let me turn on the music here too.
Mal.
You gonna stick it out, Cole?
I'm gonna try, Mal. What have you got?
Family by the name of Sawyer. Mother, father, and 2 kids. All in bed from the looks of it. Well, I'd say carbon monoxide poisoning. The burns are superficial.
Time of death?
I'd say about midnight. Anything more exact will take some time to determine. Lynch tells me this has something to do with a faulty water heater?
Could be. There's been a spate of problems with a particular brand. I've got another angle in mind.
You care to elucidate, Detective? This is a murder and not an accident. Sharing information has helped us solve quite a few cases together.
I need something concrete, Mal, before the department gets wind of it. I'm in arson for a reason.
I feel sorry for your wife and kids, Phelps, not for you. But you're a good case man. One of the best I've ever met. I'll help in any way I can.
Thanks, Mal. I'd say that's firm but fair.
Oh, man.
How about the insurance companies write these incidents up as acts of God?
For people wondering what an act of God is, an act of God is a real term in law, and when an act of God, it has nothing to do with religion. It basically means something natural that happens, something that could not have been avoided. Like an act of God, for example, would be like a hurricane, tornado, earthquake, you know, landslide, you know, stuff like that generally. But, you know, a water heater exploding, no. That would not be an act of God. That would either be intentional or negligence. But the insurance companies write act of God just so they don't have to pay it off. Because just remember that about insurance companies is that insurance companies...
Hey, Biggs, is this significant?
Regulator valve. Good find.
Detectives? This is the next door neighbor.
Detective Phelps. Can you help?
They were supposed to be going away. They won a trip somewhere. But little Henry got sick, so they had to cancel. What are the chances?
Do you know who ran the competition?
Gulliver's Travel, up on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Thanks. You've been a big help.
Phelps, the guy across the street. I've seen him before. He likes fire.
Hurry, you can still catch him.
What I was saying about insurance companies, though, guys...
Stop! LAPD!
...is that insurance companies are not there to help you. They're there to get money from you.
What's your name?
Herbert Chapman.
So you like fires?
Some.
Watching them or setting them?
I don't want any trouble.
Turn out your pockets.
You're a naughty boy, aren't you, Herbert?
I keep myself to myself.
Cigarette in a matchbox gives you a 5 or 6 minute delay. You want more time, you use a mosquito coil. Don't you, Herbert?
You like this fire, Herbert?
Hell no. I heard it over the fire radio. Sounded sweet.
When you finish following your leads, come and see me at the fire station. I have a theory about this.
Will do, Lynch. Take this guy in. We might want him for questioning later.
You got it, Detective.
Why have you got such a hard-on for this case? If it is murder, it's almost impossible to prove. Fire doesn't leave much evidence. There's no percentage in this.
I think it's more than one case.
They're house fires, Cole. Accidents, heater fires, gas explosions.
There's got to be a reason.
The reason is you want to be a star again. Forget it. Give it up. You'll feel better.
There's something to this. I know it.
What are you talking about? Arson is insurance. It's always been insurance.
We still investigate the cases, Biggs. The people in this house are dead.
Go soak your head, Phelps. This hero business is a full-time obsession with you.
I'm gonna make this case. I'm gonna rub the department's nose in it. Help me or stay out of my way. You got it?
Did I get all the evidence here? I don't know if I got all the evidence, because I just picked up that one thing, and then it just ended really quickly after that, chasing the guy. But these guys also, this family was also supposed to be going on a trip, and they didn't end up going. And look at what happened. But yeah, I personally, my opinion, I cannot stand a lot of insurance companies. There was an insurance company that I dealt with once. It was a health insurance company, and I remember I had to go to a doctor for a specific reason, like 3 years ago. I was okay, you know, it wasn't like, you know, anything serious, but I had to go to the doctor for a specific reason. And what happened was I had to get a CAT scan done, and I remember I asked my insurance company, I asked them, are you guys going to cover this? And, you know, the guy on the phone told me, oh, yeah, you know, we got you, we'll cover you, we'll help you out. And what ended up happening was, like, a year later, I get a bill from the hospital telling me that the insurance company didn't cover it, and then they refused to cover it. They refused to cover it, they wouldn't cover it, and they were giving me excuses, and I was a bit pissed. I had to pay out of pocket, which was horrible. But the nice thing about it is that at least the hospital gave me somewhat of a discount because I was paying cash, but it was still like, you know, I lost faith in that insurance company. I didn't really have much faith in them to begin with. I even looked up their reviews, it was bad. But I dropped them after that too. I didn't want to deal with them. Okay. I think we're pretty much done here. I don't think there's anything else left here. Okay.
What now?
It's got to be worth checking out the agent that issued those tickets.
Yep. Okay. Let's go to the travel agency.
American Century Broadcasting.
I gotta turn off the music again. I hate doing this, but it's copyright. Blame the copyright policies, unfortunately, guys. It's just Music Mafia is out to get me. Okay,
Any Century Unit, 211 in progress, 522 South Hill Street, unit to handle code 3, identified.
Also, I'll tell you guys something else about cases. I don't think I've mentioned this at all on this playthrough, but one thing that a lot of video games and movies get wrong on cases is that they're basically solved in a day, which some cases actually go on for years. Some cases will go on for weeks, months, then they might get a lead after a few months, and they'll follow up on that and then finally get an answer, but some cases, yeah, some cases will take years to solve. Okay, it's travel agency here now. And also, here's the thing about travels. This I didn't get the chance to talk about this on one of my other parts when I was talking with Candy when she was going to the bus station. Is that back then in this time period, planes were available to take.
Detectives Phelps and Biggs, LAPD. John Cunningham, can I help you, gentlemen? We have reason to believe that the Sawyer family of 4414 Rosewood Avenue recently won a competition run by your company.
Yes, I remember them. They called up to cancel at the last minute. One of the kids was sick. Very unfortunate.
Do you mind if I take a look at that?
So about travel is that there was planes available in this time period to basically take across the country. So if you wanted to take like a plane from New York to California, you could. You probably have several stopover flights, but I don't know how much gas the planes use, how long they could fly for. I'm not a plane expert, but they probably did have to have stopover flights. But anyways, about the flights though, in this time period, planes were very luxurious in this time period. Like the general plane was very luxurious, really nice seating. You know, you could relax, you could lay down in the seat. You had almost like a restaurant. You had like waiters basically coming, like pouring you wine, giving you like steak. People could even smoke on the planes. So it was like flying was a very luxurious thing in this time period. Very luxurious thing. Most working class people, when they wanted to get somewhere across the country, they'd either take a bus or they would take a train. But most people took the bus because the bus was the cheapest thing. The train was a little bit more expensive, but most people would take the bus. So that's why oftentimes in this game, when you hear about people traveling across the country, it's almost always bus tickets they're talking about in this game, because people took buses, because that's, you know, what the working class took. Only the rich people really flew, you know, back then in this time period. They were the ones who would fly planes. But basically is airlines realized that they were only getting money from rich people. And that's why they got rid of those luxurious airplanes. And that's why, you know, you started having, it was, I would say probably the 60s when like air travel started becoming common for, you know, regular working class people. That's around that time when, you know, planes as we know today started becoming the thing. And, you know, they have, you know, the whole economy thing. They have economy, they have, you know, business class, they have the premium class, whatever, all those different classes that they have in flying. Personally, for me, I think that it's stupid, you know, all those extra classes, because, you know, when I'm going to see my family is, you know, I'm going to be on a plane for what, 4 hours in total, you know, flying from the Midwest to New York. And so if I'm going to be on a plane, I'm not going to pay hundreds of dollars more just so I can get like a fancier seat and maybe some little better food. You know, no. It's like I'm just going to sit in economy. You know, that's it. Or I think it's called Coach 2. That's what I'm going to do. So like I'm not going to buy those premium tickets or anything like that. I just personally think it's stupid and it's a waste. Maybe if you're flying like internationally and you're like on a 20-hour flight or something like that, then maybe you can consider upgrading to like the more comfortable seats. But if you're just flying, you know, locally, domestically, I personally think it's stupid to buy all the premium seats. Okay, Sawyer family here.
The Sawyer family, Rosewood Avenue.
And the other family, what were they called? Steffens, okay.
Here they are, Steffens.
Okay, music is on.
Come back, Detective. There's more. I want to help if I can.
Tell us about the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
There's not much to tell. They run a promotion. Our promotions mailing list covers half of LA.
I'll try good cop.
So they are not a government agency?
I don't believe so. Government organizations don't usually get involved in promotions.
Promotional travel contest.
I'm told the tickets were a prize.
Yes, they were.
You do a lot of these prizes?
Look, there are hundreds of these promotions running at any one time. If you're the lucky guy, you get your name pulled out of a hat.
Something's not right. Responsible for leaflet campaign and competition. Let me see what accused is.
You're lying, Cunningham. There's some kind of racket going on here, and you're in on it.
And you have a screw loose, Buster. I'm involved in a conspiracy for a $20 family ticket to Catalina. How are you going to prove that?
It's nothing personal. I'm just doing my job. You understand that? I'm told the tickets were a prize.
Yes, they were.
You do a lot of these prizes?
Look, there are hundreds of these promotions running at any one time. If you're the
He's
lucky
hiding
guy,
something.
you get your name pulled out of a hat.
While the Sawyer family were supposed to be at Catalina Island, their house burnt down. You consider them lucky?
Christ. I'm sorry to hear that.
Can you tell me who offered the prize won by the Sawyer family?
Sure. Look, there's supposed to be some sort of supervised draw with hundreds of tickets. But the reality is the Suburban Redevelopment Fund calls me every couple of weeks and tells me exactly who has won.
Thanks for your help.
No problem. I just wish I could do something for that family.
You could put round the hat. A few bucks would really help them now.
I suppose so.
Good. I'll put you down for 50. I could tell you were Samaritan the minute I walked in the door.
50? Are you?
Good man, Cunningham. You're all right.
Yeah, I'm great. Poorer, but great.
Yeah, they, he's the thing is, that guy probably doesn't know, that the houses are being burnt down intentionally, but he does know that something is going on. He's definitely aware that something shady is going on. Suburban Redevelopment Fund, okay.
Let me guess. You want to check out the Suburban address?
Great partners must think alike, Herschel.
Suburban Redevelopment Fund is far. Okay, here it is. And yeah, you can see that a lot of these houses were actually built new in this area.
This is supposed to be the registered offices of the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
This is an Elysian housing development, Mac.
So Elysian is an investor in the redevelopment fund.
Looks that way.
Are we done here, Mac? I've got work to do.
Sure, buddy. Thanks for your help. Elysian are investors in the Suburban Redevelopment. So what? If you think I'm putting my pension on the line and harassing Leland Monroe without evidence, you're out of your mind.
Fire station. Also, here's the thing is, this story in this game is actually based on real events, is that have you ever noticed a lot of houses that are built in the 1950s actually don't have basements? Those houses were built for soldiers returning from World War II, and they were built without basements, I guess, to make the house a little bit cheaper. But basically, a lot of soldiers during World War II, they came from, working class families in the cities. They lived in small apartments, or they might have lived on like a small farm in the countryside. A lot of, soldiers, people did not make a lot of money, because you got to remember that right when World War II started, the Great Depression was pretty much, it was ending at that point. But the Great Depression was raging on. People had lost a lot of money during the Great Depression, so a lot of people didn't own homes back then. They either rented or they lived in, like, a small apartment, maybe a small farm. A lot of working class people. And what happened was they were coming back from the war. And when they were coming back from the war, it was the American dream. That's where the whole line, the American dream with the white picket fence and the house, where that basically comes from the end of World War II. It comes from soldiers coming back from the end of the war. They want to be able to own their, piece of America, their own property. It's their dream to be able to, own a house, start a family, get married, have a wife and kids. That was a dream for a lot of soldiers. And what happened was the U.S. government was also pushing this a lot this time, and they were the U.S. government was also partnering up with a lot of companies that were actually building up houses. This exact same thing actually happened in Long Island, in New York. I don't know about the whole California housing, but I know that in New York this happened. Long Island, Long Island is to the east of New York City. It's mostly a suburban area, towns and suburbs. And the government was basically, working with these companies, and they were building up homes for veterans after the war. And they would give them, like, small loans for the homes. They would be able to get the homes. And the U.S. government was not just doing this just to help veterans. That actually wasn't just the only reason. The other reason that the U.S. government was doing this was it was a stab at the Soviet Union. That was what it was. Because in the Soviet Union, it was that you don't own property. It was that everybody, owns property together. We're the collective. We're the group. It's that everything, there's no private, ownership of anything in the Soviet Union. Is that everyone is equal, supposedly equal, but everyone is equal to be poor under communism. But that was basically what the U.S. was trying to do towards the Soviet Union. Is they were basically saying to the Soviet Union is, look, our soldiers are coming back from World War II, and they're getting houses. They're building big, 2-3 bedroom houses. And starting up families. Your soldiers, the Soviet soldiers coming back from World War II, what are they getting? Like, small, poor apartments that are, like, run down. So that was basically, like, the U.S. is, like, stab at the Soviet Union right there, like, insulting the Soviet Union, saying, like, this is what our people get in our country, what about what the people get in your country? So it wasn't just about helping the veterans, it was also a propaganda war. That's what it was. It was a propaganda war at the same time. And the USSR and the Soviet Union would constantly do this to each other. They would try to, I guess, improve the lives of their citizens, but they were doing it primarily to basically stab at the other one. And also, another fact for you guys is, you ever notice how God is referenced a lot? For example, on, like, money, In God We Trust, that's, like, referenced a lot. What people don't know is that stuff did not actually come until the Cold War. That stuff wasn't on American money for, like, a long time. Not criticizing religion, don't have anything against religion, but I'm just saying is that the reason a lot of that stuff, that In God We Trust stuff, started happening in America, especially during the Cold War, is because the U.S. also, it was another stab at the Soviet Union. It was to show that in America, you have freedom of religion. In America, you can follow whatever religion you want. Where in the Soviet Union, it was state atheism. In the Soviet Union, they would teach, you in school, there's no such thing as God, that all religion is made up. That's what they would teach in schools. So a lot of churches were shut down in the Soviet Union, synagogues, also mosques. So the Soviet government, and Stalin was the worst when it came to this. Khrushchev was a little bit more tolerant. He was the guy who came after Stalin, but Stalin was the worst. Stalin had destroyed churches, mosques, synagogues. He would go after any kind of organized religion.
Lynch says we should visit him at Fire Station 32.
Who exactly is this guy, Lynch?
Lynch is a legend. You should feel privileged. He doesn't let many people into the inner sanctum. Keep your mouth shut, and you'll learn something about fires.
And also about this development, what I will say, another thing about this is, the town that I moved into in the Midwest, a lot of the buildings in the town are actually 120 years old. They're even older than World War I. But what my neighborhood, specifically the neighborhood that I live in, it's a brand new neighborhood. It was actually built within the last 20 years. All the streets are new, the buildings are all new, so everything was built up within the last 20 years. And what's happened is, literally, all of the farms, like, around the area were just basically bought up by large corporations. There's just large corporations that are buying up the farms, and they are basically tearing them down, and they're building up suburbs. So they're destroying the farms, and they're building up suburbs. And I can understand why the people locally in my town, I can understand why they're getting pissed off. Even though I'm from out of state, I moved here, I understand why people are, pissed about that. Large corporation coming in, buying people out, tearing down their farms, and, buying up, like, all of these, properties and, renting them out, buying up houses, stuff like that. I will say, though, is that there's actually one farmer. It's kind of crazy because, like, in my neighborhood, there's, like, all new buildings, but then there's, like, one farm that's, like, from the 1940s, and that one farmer does not want to sell. He does not want to sell to the companies, and I praise that farmer. I support him 100% on that. He probably was offered a lot of money, but he's standing his ground. He's like, no, this is my family's land. I will not be selling the land. So I support him a lot. I praise that guy for that. But these large corporations, they are actually a huge part of the housing problem. Is they will go into areas, they will buy a bunch of houses, so much houses, they'll tear them down
Came as soon as we
and
could.
buy new houses, build condos, or rent them out. I am a landlord myself. I own 2 rental properties, but I will say this is people like me are not the problem because I'm just a small business owner. I own 2 rental properties, so some passive income that I make. I'm always fair to my tenants, by the way. I don't even raise rent on my tenants. I didn't do it when they renewed their last leases. But basically, the problem is not like landlords like me that own maybe 2 or 3 rental properties. That's what a lot of people think, is they think that every single landlord is like a bad person. But I'm just running some passive income that I want to get on the side. The problem is the large corporations, the large corporations that are basically coming in, and you have like these giant companies that are buying like 100 houses. That's like a problem, and that happens in my town. It's my town. It's more of a city, but people call it a town. But everybody, basically, these large corporations are buying up so many houses, and they're renting them out, and that's a problem. That's these large corporations are buying like 100 houses at once, and then just renting them out. That causes a housing problem. The average landlord that's owning like 1 or 2 or 3 rental properties, they're not part of the problem. It's the large corporations that are buying hundreds of houses. And in my opinion, I'm a pretty free market guy. But in my opinion, is if I was the president, I would make it illegal. Where like if it was like a town or a city that like large corporations should not be able to own like more than like 20 or 25% of the homes in like in a city or a town. Like I would make some kind of cap. I would make some kind of limit because I've seen it happen, and I personally think that it's disgusting.
Lynch.
Biggs, you 2 investigating the house fire on Kenmore Avenue as well?
Yep. Why?
I had a look around the place while I was out there.
Do you believe the fire?
I deal in facts, Phelps. Evidence of an explosion. No obvious sign of accelerants. Wiring looks intact. Come and take a look at this.
Is the heater from the Sawyer fire out?
Yes, it is.
Huh. Looks like it was recently serviced.
I have a theory, and it's a theory only. I don't have enough evidence to prove...
Al, if you say it's so, we're listening.
Okay, Phelps. You're a bright penny. You have a gas supply. You have a Bunsen burner as a pilot light. You have a regulator valve, and the balloon represents the gas expanding in the room. Now, the gas has to make contact with the mosquito coil to form an explosion. Let's see if you can work out the chain of events. Good, your regulator's in position.
know.
The gas bubble needs to be next to the coil if it's gonna ignite.
Okay, I'll light your pilot and turn the gas.
You pull the lever on the left to turn on the gas.
So that's how it's being done.
Maybe. There could be a fault with these valves. I've adjusted this one for our experiment, but you need to take it to InstaHeat and see what they say. Their headquarters is on North Harvard Boulevard, number 262.
Thanks, Albert.
You're welcome, Biggs. See you at the next show.
So, and also the heater is not, it's gonna try to basically dodge all questions. I can already see that the heater, talking to the heater people is probably gonna be annoying. Companies are very rarely gonna want to admit that there's a flaw in their product. They're very rarely going to.
The next fire. We should go to the factory and see how many of these things are going bang in the night.
You know this Chapman character?
Guy's a freak. Loves fires. He's the kind of guy that we'd like for a lot of things, but we don't really have any credible evidence to pursue him with.
LAPD detectives, ma'am. We need to speak to someone in charge.
I see. Well, duty manager for today is Mr. Rasick. You should find him in his office.
Oh.
New and improved model. They'll be selling these like hotcakes.
When is America gonna understand? It's not about getting, it's about giving.
I'm gonna make him take me to the pictures tonight.
How bad is it? Come on, you can tell me.
Oh, manager, okay, right here.
I swear, this town's going straight to hell.
Oh, also, when you see people smoking in buildings, it's because this was very common back then. There really wasn't any laws on this. People didn't really know the effects of secondhand smoking, and so a lot of people would smoke inside. They would smoke in restaurants, and even smoke in your face back then. There really wasn't laws against the type of stuff.
Detective Phelps and Biggs, Arson. We're investigating a couple of house fires. What can you tell us about this?
Pressure regulator from a Model 70, yeah. Let me take a look. We have a problem. This has been tampered with.
What?
You see this diaphragm? It forms a seal across the saddle here. Gas flows across from here to here. The diaphragm regulates flow. It's been reversed. It's a subtle change, but it means the gas never closes off properly.
Well, at least he was very honest about that. I'm surprised. Maybe he was trying to avoid a lawsuit. But I will say, let me see something. InstaHeat Model 70.
So you're telling me that this is not a manufacturing fault or service repair?
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the design.
Okay, now I'm gonna call BS on this. It's either gonna be bad cop or accused. Here's what I will say about this. I'm not an expert on heaters, but I'm gonna say something is... somebody should not, even if it was tampered with, somebody should not be able to go into your backyard, open up the heater, you know, mess with a few things, and then it's going to explode. You know, that should not be happening. You know, you should not have something like that happening with a product. That is not, that's a design flaw. Even if it's been tampered with, the fact that somebody can just tamper with it just like that, and it can cause it to explode, that is unacceptable. That is clearly a design flaw. Let me just ask him that one more time here.
Hey, I thought you were here to talk.
So you're telling me that this is not a manufacturing fault or service repair?
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the design.
Let me see. Accuse. What's accuse?
I think you're lying, Razik. Either these heaters are flawed in inception, or they were badly put together. Which is it?
If you want to pursue that line of questioning, we could have our day in court. I'll put my engineering credentials up against yours.
Looks like I made a mistake.
Hey, I thought you were here to talk.
Okay.
So you're telling me that this is not a manufacturing fault or service repair?
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the design.
Bad cop.
You're telling me that you've never had any problems with this heater?
Look, we've changed the design since the Model 70.
These things are still being installed?
It's the demand. None of us could keep up with the amount of housing going up. At the budget end, we're still using some of the old stock. We are installing 100 heaters a week. They're not all faulty.
They're not all safe either.
Yeah. Good point. Let me review evidence.
Are these diaphragms prone to failure?
They tend to go after a while. The rubber lasts quite a few years and then it perishes.
So the guys' names that I've been seeing doing the repairs on the heaters, they're fully licensed and accredited.
Sure, of course they are.
I think you're lying, Razik. I think some of your men aren't fully licensed. You're desperate to cover your sales.
And how are you going to prove that, Detective? Name me one of my guys who would have overlooked a fault like this.
The heater serviced by Ryan. Yeah, this, because he had the Sawyer family is the family that died. Steffens is the family that survived. So it'll be this one.
What about Reginald Varley?
You know about Varley. He's on the run for a divorce interstate. It's not so bad.
You in the habit of hiring criminals, Razik?
I need guys, Detective. This boom is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I want you to get me a copy of the list of your installers.
Okay, I'll get it for you. There, around a dozen of them. Housing business is going crazy at the moment.
This is a long shot. We are not going to roust that whole list.
Okay.
I want to run it by R&I, cross-reference for arsonists. See if any of these guys have any previous. Sir, I need to use your phone.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I will say also, here's the thing is, that if companies know they can get away with something, and it's not safe, but it's cheaper, they're gonna take that route. I'm trying to remember what it was. Any one of my viewers in the comments, if any of you guys know cars, there was one car company I don't remember which company it was. It could have been Ford, but correct me if I'm wrong. One of the cars, one of the cars had car types had like a specific issue,
Hey,
something
Cole,
that was
let's
dangerous.
get moving.
It happened, I think, like a few decades ago. And the company had two alternatives. They could either have all of their models brought in, and they could have them, serviced to fix the issue, or they could pay like the giant fine, whatever it was, for the safety issue. And the company chose to pay the fine instead of fixing the safety issue, because they knew that if they had to recall every single one of those cars and bring it in, it would actually cost more than paying the fine for the safety issue in their car. So I don't remember what company this was. If anybody knows in the comments, let me know. But that's why that was like decades ago. These days, today, there's much more laws in the books when it comes to like faulty stuff in equipment, cars, heaters, stuff like that. Companies are much more on the line to to be held responsible if something bad basically happens. There was that's why, if you drive like a newer car, have you ever noticed that sometimes your company will send you like a letter saying that there's a recall on like a specific part or something like that. You go to the dealership and they'll do it for you for free. The reason they're doing that for you for free isn't out of the kindness of their hearts. It's so that you don't sue them if something happens. If that part in the car that they're recalling, if that part in the car basically something happens and it causes you to crash, your car breaks down, you could sue them. That's basically for them to cover their tracks, not necessarily about your safety. They say we care about the customer safety, but it's about the companies to cover their tracks. That's what it's primarily for.
Operator, give me R&I.
Putting you through now.
How can I help, Detective?
Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
I need to know if any of the following names have a previous criminal history.
Okay, Detective, run the names.
Acevedo Ernesto, Clemens Walter, Elgram John, Gable Leroy, Kelligrew Peter, Kuttner Robert, Limehouse Albert, Manning Franklin, Neves Raymond, O'Brien Thomas, Ryan Matthew, Spurgeon William, Varley Reginald, Zurich Stephen.
Okay, for people wondering why am I laughing at this part, it's because this isn't 2024 where somebody can just pull up a list of names on the computer or like just type them in. She would have to actually get like a book out and like look up those names alphabetically. She would have like a police book with like police criminal records, and she would have to like pull out the book. So like there's no way, and even so, she would have to like go one by one. Okay, give me the first name, I will look it up, give me the second name, and we're gonna be on the phone for like half an hour with her, basically just checking all the names, but they're just gonna speed it up because of a game.
Clemens Walter, previous conviction for arson and malicious damage. Burned down a house in Westwood in 1942. 4-year jail term.
Thanks.
Ryan Matthew, charged for contempt of court, attempted murder, plea bargain down to assault charge.
Anyone else?
There is a Reginald Varley wanted for murder by Detroit Police Department.
Ooh.
Thanks.
That's really bad.
You've been a big help, young lady.
That's really bad right there.
Your employment roster is quite the rogues gallery, Mr. Rasick. Desperate times indeed. Any ideas?
Talk to the guy in charge. See what he says.
Do you have an address for Clemens?
He's working on an apartment building on Catalina and 3rd.
What about Ryan?
Currently working at a housing development on Normandy and 1st Street.
Varley, where is he?
Beverly and Mariposa, currently working on a new housing development. Hey, Varley's a good guy. You can't harass all my people.
These guys have lockers.
Yes, they do, but my men have a right to some privacy. Don't you need a warrant or something?
Show him and keep quiet.
Yeah, this is a Fourth Amendment violation. Fourth Amendment is the right to, it's illegal search and seizures. It's basically to, what the Fourth Amendment basically comes from people wondering, is it comes from British occupation. because during the times when America was still a colony of Britain, what happened is the British army would actually be quartered in your house, and you would have to feed them and clothe them. And what happens is the British, whenever they wanted to come into your house and search it, they could go through your house, they could look for your personal things, look any revolutionary stuff. They could try to they could take away your guns too. So that was basically like an attempt to basically stop the government. Like the reason the forefathers basically put that in the Constitution was to stop the government from abusing their power. That if the government needs to search your property, they need to have some kind of just cause. They need to have a warrant. They can't just go through your property. So this would, this is the 1940s, so probably this would, this would slide. But today, this would definitely not be acceptable. Evidence would get thrown out. And also, just because this is also a gray area here. This is a bit of a gray area. The reason this is a gray area too is because their lockers are technically their property. Their personal property is inside, but the lockers belong to the company. So the company owns the lockers, but their personal property is inside. So it's a very gray area. I could see it argued both ways. The prosecution could argue that, the company gave us permission, the company owns the lockers. But then the defense could argue that, they use the lockers for the personal stuff. They expect an amount of privacy. So I could see arguments for both sides for this.
Happy now?
Stick around, Mr. Rasick.
Okay, let's see here. Walter Clemens, let's see here.
Clemens is a fellow traveler.
Law and Authority, an anarchist essay. Anarchist, wow. Try to read this a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna skip through this here. But, basically, anarchy is technically an ideology, and the crazy thing about it is a lot of anarchists claim that anarchy is not an ideology, because what anarchy is the belief in no government, that government should not exist, is the idea of without rulers. And a lot of anarchists, what they will say is it's not an ideology because we don't have rulers. You need rulers to have an ideology. That's not true. That's not true. So it's still very much an ideology. Just because the ideology might not necessarily believe in government, it's still very much an ideology. And you can make the argument that anarchy is an extremist ideology too. Oh, hang on. Why is it doing this here? I can't search anymore here. Matthew Ryan, let's see here. Oh, Matthew Ryan is the one he got the anarchist book from Ryan. That's basically Ryan gave it to him.
This doesn't pertain to the case.
An anarchist.
Some light reading on the merciless capitalist machine. Ryan wants the world to be a better place, don't we all?
And also, I will say about anarchy is there's basically two versions of anarchy. Even though anarchy does not advocate, government, there's basically two versions. There's left-wing anarchy and right-wing anarchy, and both of them are extreme. Left-wing anarchy, also a lot of times called anarcho-communists. Anarcho-communists basically believe in a system where there is no government, but people live in a commune together. So people live in a society where they share, that it's more kind of like communism. There's not really private property, but there is no government to really enforce it. That's what anarcho-communists believe. And Dutch van der Linde in Red Dead Redemption 2 is kind of a combination of an anarcho-communist and also an anarcho-libertarian. He's kind of a combination of both of them. Let's see here. What else we got? Nothing else in here. Now, the other version of anarchism is basically anarcho-capitalists. I guess I shouldn't call them anarcho-libertarians, because libertarians believe in some form of government, but it's an anarcho-capitalist. So it's anarcho-capitalists basically believe in a very much, free market society, no government control, nothing, whatsoever. So this is to understand, like, Ryan's perspective. Ryan, I'm pretty sure that Ryan is an anarcho-communist. I remember if you come in contact with him. I don't think that he is an anarcho-capitalist. But the thing is, though, is I remember I've actually encountered anarchists before at my college. There was actually an anarchist group, and I remember that,
Cole, we got things to do.
Let's check the final locker, and I'll tell you guys about this here.
The company went through thousands of these in the war. Still got eaten alive.
What's in here?
Varley has a problem with bugs.
Mosquito coils.
You know that a mosquito coil takes an hour to burn down, Rasic?
No, I didn't know that.
It's the favorite choice of ignition by arsonists.
I didn't know that.
Gives them time to get away.
You're crazy. He probably lives near the canals in Venice. Mind if I leave you to it? I got work waiting.
So the other thing I was saying about anarchists is, anarchists, some of them can be very peaceful. Like some of the anarchists that I knew, because there was an anarchist, group at my college. Some of the anarchists that I knew were actually, I would call them as crazy. That's what I would say. But they're not dangerous. That's what I would say. They're not like, gonna hurt anybody or anything like that. Just they have some crazy ideals, but for the most part, they're peaceful. They're not, gonna hurt anybody. But then you have like some of those crazy anarchists that like you would see during riots. You would see like those guys that like, wear black masks and they will just, smash store windows, burn cars down. Those guys are danger. Those guys are, massive extremists. But about the anarchists, what I was basically getting at here is, I, in college, identified as a libertarian. Libertarians basically believe in the smallest government possible, very limited government, but libertarians still believe in some government. Even though it's like the smallest government possible, they're the ones who advocate the smallest ones, they still believe in some government. And I remember I got into an argument with an anarchist about this, telling me that anarchy is, better than libertarianism, and he was telling me that, like, government is evil, and that, that it's, stealing, that government is stealing from you and stealing from your pocketbook and stuff like that. And, I believe that high taxation is theft, but I believe that some government is still necessary. And I basically, argued with this guy, and I asked this guy, I'm like, what do you want to do for a living? Like, what do you want to do? He's like, oh, I want to be a pilot. And I'm like, you want to be a pilot and you're an anarchist? It's like, yeah. And he's like, what the hell? I was like, literally, it's like all those safety rules that are in the sky are created by governments. It's like, how are you going to, how are you going to fly a plane when, air traffic control laws are run by governments? It's like you have all these regulations of what people can and can't do. You don't want to put that in the private companies' hands. I'm not a fan of, like, big government, but, like, you need government to, like, regulate certain things, and, like, air travel specifically, stuff like that. It's like you're going to have planes crashing into each other if you don't have, air traffic control, and, regulations and laws like that by government. So that's insane. He wants to, be a pilot.
3 birds.
But
Clemens, Ryan, Varley. Where to, Phelps?
He wants to be a pilot, but he doesn't believe in, like, laws. But I will tell you that my professor, I remember one time.
Try that again.
He asked basically the entire class once. And he asked the entire class, who here thinks that anarchy is a good system? Who thinks that it's a good one? And there's one kid who said, I think it's a good thing. I don't think there should be any government. Oh, this is the guy who's doing all of it too. Another house that he's gonna blow up. But, yeah, so my teacher basically asked this kid, what town do you live in? And he said the town that he lives in, and the town that he lived in was like 15 miles from the college. And he said to him, if we had anarchy, you wouldn't get to the school alive. And the kid's like, what do you mean? And the teacher's like, the government paves the roads. The government makes traffic laws. The government runs, traffic lights. You don't have traffic lights, you don't have traffic laws, you're not going to get here alive. And that basically shut him down really quick. So that was,
all over the world. That's because the world recognizes good taste.
It's the best-selling beer in all
Okay, let's see. Which one are we gonna go to?
America's finest.
3 birds. Clemens, Ryan, Varley. Where to, Phelps?
Okay, let me, But I will tell you is, as annoying as some of the anarchists are, basically, is, they are nowhere near as toxic as, like, the communists or the, you know, fascist Nazis. Is the communists and the Nazis, I would say they are much, much worse than the anarchists. Because even though anarchists are a bit extreme in their ideology, is they just generally a lot of times believe that there should be no government to, you know, control your lives, where, you know, Nazis and communists believe that the government should revolve around your life, and not only that, that the government should oppress people that they don't like. Okay, let's go talk to Clemens here first. And I'm pretty sure that Clemens is innocent in this. Clemens is not a suspect, that you're gonna be able to cross him off really quickly here. Clemens' work site, okay. Whoa, 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 no, no, no.
Biggs, LAPD.
No. You cannot put your hands on somebody like that. If you don't have any proof that they're doing a crime, you cannot do something like it's like, sir, we need to talk to you. You can't do that.
We want some answers, and we want them quick.
Okay. What's this all about? Just tell me what you want.
Walter Clemens. Knowledge of Varley.
You know Reginald Varley?
No? Can't say I do.
Let me see what accuses.
You have a real viper's nest at InstaHeat, don't you? Arsonists, murderers, communists.
What's that got to do with me? You can't prove I'm behind all that.
It's nothing personal. I'm just doing my job. You understand that?
I'm gonna do accuse. A bad cop. Bad cop, yeah. Because he works with him. Yeah, how would he not know him?
Detroit PD is after Reginald Varley for murder. You want us to run you in for aiding and abetting, Clemens?
Whoa. All I know about Varley is he gets kickbacks from some developer.
That means money.
Does their work
Kickbacks for
first.
money.
Spreads it around if he can.
Let's see, what's that statement that he said there? Kickbacks, okay. Employment with InstaHeat.
You're licensed and work for InstaHeat?
I contract for them. So what?
You like fires, don't you, Clemens? You serviced the house on Kenmore Avenue. You manipulated the regulator valve.
I don't remember even working a job on Kenmore Avenue, much less sabotaging the place. What proof have you got?
You're off the hook, for now.
Knowledge of Ryan.
Do you know Matthew Ryan?
No. Don't know the name.
You and Ryan are fifth columnists.
And how do you figure that, wise guy? What proof do you have? Been following me to meetings?
The anarchist leaflet,
We found a pamphlet in your locker, Clemens. We can add your name to the register. HUAC might want to interview you.
Oh, okay. What HUAC is, I know this really well. HUAC is the House of Un-American Activities Committee or Commission. Let's always forget the last word. But basically, what the House of Un-American Activities Committee is it was a government, agency in this time period that was set up pretty much right at the end of World War II, right when the Cold War started heating up. Because the Cold War was a lot of people think that like the 1950s or the 1960s were the most extreme for the Cold War, but it wasn't. It was actually right after World War II, right when the Soviet Union and the U.S. got into a conflict on rebuilding Europe. And basically what the House of Un-American Activities Committee is, I mentioned this a little bit in the homicide, cases when we were talking about Grosvenor McCaffrey. But basically, this was a government organization that if they found you to be somebody that was un-American, like if you were like a communist, if you identified as a communist, if you identified as an anarchist, they probably would put you on there as well. And there was also they would put you on this list. And that list, you wouldn't get arrested for it because the government cannot arrest you for being an anarchist. The government cannot arrest you for being a communist. They can't do something like that. But what they do is they put you on this list, and then whenever you try to find a job anywhere, if you try to find a job anywhere, you're going to get fired. So whatever job you're at, you're going to get fired. Whenever you try to find a job, it'll say this person's a communist, this person's an anarchist when they look you up. And so what will happen is no bank will want to give you a loan for a house. You won't be able to get any kind of credit. You won't be able to buy a car. So it'll make your life extremely difficult. And this got completely out of control because it basically became a ridiculous witch hunt. Like the Crucible, that book it was a book written about like witches during the Salem witch trials, but it was actually in reference to the House of Un-American Activities Committee, where a lot of innocent people got accused. A lot of innocent people got accused of being un-American. A lot of innocent people. So it wasn't just communists that got accused of this, a lot of innocent people. And the group was very corrupt, and they would also go after people that had nothing to do with communists or anarchists or any of that stuff, because they were being paid off by other people. There were the other people that would want to see somebody get out of the way, have their career ruined, and so this ended up happening a lot. In the Fallout TV show, if anybody's seen the Fallout TV show recently, in the Fallout TV show, they have like a Fallout version of the House of Un-American Activities Committee, since it takes place it's like a futuristic 1950s, where a lot of, you remember that the Ghoul, that when he was like an actor before the war, that they talked about a lot of the actors that were getting fired for being like communist sympathizers. They probably weren't communist sympathizers. It was probably they were just getting fired for like ridiculous reasons, that they were just finding something stupid to go after them. But here's the thing is, if you were like if you were somebody that was like for, racial equality, if you were like against racism, if you were like against segregation, for example, you thought that segregation was wrong, then you could also be labeled as being un-American, and they could put you on that list, House of So you would be put on there, if you were against segregation, you could be put on that list of like communists and anarchists. They could put you on that list. If you were like a big gun rights supporter, if you were somebody who like a big advocate of the Second Amendment, you were a big advocate of being able to carry guns in public, they would also put you on that list of being on the House of Un-American Activities Committee, because back then a lot of states actually had a lot of laws where people could actually not carry guns. It was actually in a lot of recent cases the Supreme Court decided that the Second Amendment is an individual right to own a firearm. That was decided I think a decade or two ago. And so a lot of if you were like an advocate of like gun rights, you would be put on that list too. And like somebody who's like an advocate of gun rights and somebody who is like supporting like wants to abolish like segregation, is like for the equality of races. That doesn't mean that they're a communist, but that was basically what they would do. So like a lot of innocent people would get put on this list, and they would basically have their lives ruined.
That shit was from Ryan. He's always pushing that shit on people. Drives me nuts. He's got it in for the company.
Employment of InstaHeat, okay?
You were licensed and worked for InstaHeat?
I contract for them. So what?
His face like, that's what he's doing. Okay. Let me see what accuses.
You like fires, don't you, Clemens? You serviced the house on Kenmore Avenue. You manipulated the regulator valve.
I don't remember even working a job on Kenmore Avenue, much less sabotaging the place. What proof have you got?
The arson here, his criminal record.
I do a day's work for
Crap.
a day's wage.
Crap.
That's what I do. You got a problem with that?
I messed that up.
All right, Clemens. You're off the hook for the moment.
Can I get back to work now?
Let's get out of here, Phelps. He ain't our guy.
I wanna try that question again because the if you actually push him, I know that I'm sorry to get this one question wrong, but if you actually push him, I think that you're gonna get the he's gonna tell you basically about his criminal past.
InstaHeat hires arsonists, does it?
I've worked as a fitter all my life. Put everything I had into that house. And my fucking mud shark of a wife gets awarded in the settlement. She's blowing spics 2 at a time while I'm at work. And she gets the house. Yeah, I burnt it all right. Set fire to that fucker and watched it burn to the ground. I did my time and I'd do it again.
Sorry about the rouse, Clemens. You did the right thing.
So that was basically the question that I had missed, and the thing is though is that I could have used the evidence that he had a criminal record. So it's kind of weird for me that I got that wrong. I should have got that right too. Knowledge of Ryan, but got
Do
this
you
one.
know Matthew Ryan?
No. Don't know the name.
You and Ryan are fifth columnists.
And how do you figure that, wise guy? What proof do you have? Been following me to meetings?
We found a pamphlet in your locker, Clemens. We can add your name to the register. HUAC might want to interview you.
That shit was from Ryan. He's always pushing that shit on people. Drives me nuts. He's got it in for the company.
All right, Clemens. You're off the hook for the moment.
Can I get back to work now?
Let's get out of here, Phelps. He ain't our guy.
So basically, Clemens is innocent in this. Is Clemens the reason he had a criminal record for burning it down? He's not like a serial arsonist. The reason he burned a house down was because his wife was apparently cheating on him. We don't know the full details of it. We don't know if that was before or after the divorce, what ended up happening, but that's according to Clemens' statement. Listed job site address for gas filter. Reginald Varley. Okay.
Varley's on the run. He might be packing heat. If he's wanted for murder, I say we take the doubt out of the equation and let him have it.
You nervous?
It's been a while.
You were in combat.
In 1917. You know, I never fired.
That's World War I.
Of duty.
That's nothing to be ashamed of. I hope your piece is still serviceable, Herschel.
I may be old and out of practice, but I'm still a Marine, Phelps.
It would be better for our case if we could bring him in, Herschel.
This guy, I remember Varley, I really hated Varley, I remember that. This guy, didn't like him.
LAPD, Varley! Stop or I'll shoot! Come on, Varley! You can't keep running forever!
I know I can, I can point my gun at him to get him to stop, but I just want to, tackle him. I always like tackling them. Crap.
You run all the way from Michigan, Reginald?
Michigan, that's where Detroit is. Trying to go for the car. Yeah, deserve that. Okay.
Why did you run from us, Varley?
I'm gonna take a wild guess that you're the same Reginald Varley the Detroit police have an outstanding warrant on. How am I doing so far?
I need a lawyer before I talk to any of you.
Reginald Varley, You're under arrest for committing a series of arsons. You're also under arrest for murder. Detroit PD will be putting in a request for your extradition. Until then, your guest is.
Arson? You can't hang that rap on me.
Be quiet. Be thankful we don't shoot you.
Are all the cops in this town crazy?
Take him away, officer.
Okay, now we gotta bring in one more person, Ryan. Oh, Ryan's workplace is literally around the block? Okay.
Are you Matthew Ryan?
Who's asking?
Detective Phelps and Biggs, Arson Squad.
Arson?
You heard the man.
Let's just put this stuff in the car and I'll be right
No,
with
no,
you.
no.
Hold it, Ryan.
I said,
son of a bitch.
You know what? I don't understand. Why don't they ever, like... Why don't they ever confront these people, like, right when they are,
Those are
behind
GI's
them?
backyards he's crashing through.
The damage is only cosmetic.
Oh.
He's a one-man wrecking ball.
Move in. I'll take out the van.
Sorry about your car, Herschel. Damn, out of the way. Where did he go?
He's in a company van and he's losing us, Cole. Some partner I got.
He's going to kill those men.
They'll get out of the way.
Only if they hear him coming.
Close in, Phelps. We need to take Ryan down before he hurts somebody.
He's got an arson-related assault charge and he's running.
Running don't mean nothing. We gotta get this guy in a room before we can get an angle on him.
This man has got to be stopped.
I'll try to shoot out his tires. Wish me luck.
Oh. He would not have survived that back
Hands
then.
behind your head.
Hands behind your head, he's
Why
probably
did you
dead.
run, Ryan? I was scared.
You got a reason to be scared, Ryan?
Matthew Ryan, I'm arresting you on suspicion of committing a series of arsons.
We have 3 suspects. As much as I'd like it to be Chapman, I think it's one of the other 2 guys. Let's get to the station and close this case.
Let's get over to the station.
Central unit, meet the officer, a hit-and-run felony at 6th and Alvarado. Any unit able to handle, code 2 identified.
I have 2 suspects.
Phelps, you got nothing. Biggs, Ryan's waiting for you in interview 1. Varley's in 2.
Hey, Hopkins, you practicing your asshole routine again? Come on, Phelps.
Charging a suspect will
Picture
close
in
the
the paper.
case.
He worked that case with that lady cut up like the Dahlia.
Oh, hang on.
So you're
I'm
the
stumped.
first in this family
Ideas?
without a tail.
Ryan is our first port of call.
Save yourself some time and get this thing off your chest.
If that's your opening gambit, you better try again.
Anarchist literature.
So you want to change the world, Ryan?
Yes, I do. So does every reasonable person.
And you're doing your part?
Yes, I am.
Because that includes sabotaging water heaters to destroy a company.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This is industrial sabotage, Ryan. It's all part of your campaign.
You're delusional, detective. What campaign?
The anarchist stuff. Anarchist pamphlets. Anarchist propaganda for distribution found in Matthew Ryan's locker. This.
Your locker is full of pamphlets. Clemens told us how you were always foisting them on people.
Sure. I spread the pamphlets. A guy has to do something. InstaHeat heaters break down every day. They're still peddling the same lousy design that they lifted from Hephaestus.
InstaHeat bought out Hephaestus?
Them, Vulcan, Pyro, and a bunch of other companies.
And you still work for them?
A guy has to work.
And the directors of the company. How do you feel about them these days?
You work it out.
InstaHeat Model 70.
You know how to reverse a diaphragm in the regulator valve of a Model 70 heater?
No, I don't.
I want to say accused. It would be very easy for it to be tampered with.
If you know enough to do your job, you know enough to do that repair. You're lying, Ryan.
And how do you think you can prove that?
The manager's statement. This has to be right. If this is not right, I'm going to be pissed. Factory manager Ivan Rasik testifies to ease of pressure regulator tampering.
Your boss at
Yes.
InstaHeat said that you've all been trained to do it. It's a common repair. Are you calling him a liar?
Okay, so I know how it's done. But what would be the point? You just end up with a gas leak and then a small fire when you turn the pilot back on.
And if you didn't reset the pilot and the gas spread, what was the cause of the fire in your own home, Ryan?
I won't tell you.
And also, I don't know if people can hear the thunder outside. I have the really bad thunderstorm when I'm recording this, so sorry about that, guys. Suburban Redevelopment.
What can you tell me about the Suburban Redevelopment Fund?
Nothing.
What's accused?
Tell me the truth, Ryan. It's the only chance you've got. You're getting some kind of kickback from the fund.
So I'm an agitator for change, but I take kickbacks. How does that make any sense?
No, it's gonna be bad.
Sorry. My mistake. What can you tell me about the Suburban Redevelopment Fund?
Nothing.
He works in a neighborhood that's installing these, yeah, he's installing these InstaHeat models in a neighborhood that the Suburban Redevelopment Fund is building, and he doesn't know anything about that. I find that hard to believe. I'm gonna try bad cop. Yes.
I think Suburban is a front for your anarchist buddies. They're arranging for people to be out of town while you burn their houses down.
Suburban? What's that got to do with me? That's Varley's bilk. He's the one with the cozy agreement with those fascists.
Okay, that he's working with the Suburban Redevelopment Fund. That's what he's saying. Attempted murder charge.
You have a history of violence.
I have no such thing.
You're lying, Ryan.
And how exactly are you going to prove that?
Matthew Ryan's prior convictions.
You were charged with attempted murder, Ryan.
It was a court case. No criminal liability was the verdict. They said that they couldn't have known that the faulty heater installation would cause a fire. All I know is I lost my whole family. And the company that was responsible got away with it. What would you do?
Which company?
Hephaestus Water Heater Company.
Leave interrogation.
That's it for the moment, Ryan.
So I can go?
Sure. As soon as your red friends storm the building and carry you out, you'll keep your seat until we decide how long to lock you up for, knucklehead.
Okay, let's talk to Varley. Now, Varley, I actually hate Varley even more than Ryan.
But procedure says we eliminate all of the suspects. Let's speak to Varley.
I say we bust in there and find the goddamn evidence.
Olive oil comes from olives.
Yeah, the bum took a swipe at me. Put him down with my sap.
We have Matthew Ryan in custody, Varley. I think all we need to do is ask him about this, and he'll rat you out.
Fuck Ryan, that pinko bastard.
Work at Sawyer residence.
Have you ever worked on a place on Rosewood Avenue? Family by the name of Sawyer?
Maybe. I'm from out of town. I go where they send me. I don't do a lot of repairs, though. I'm flat out on new installations.
Let me see what accuses.
Why are you lying to me, Varley? If Suburban wants their new installations completed, why are you bothering with wrecks like the Sawyer house?
So I'm lying just because I can't remember if I was there or not? How can you prove that I was?
Sorry. Sometimes you have to shake the tree to see what falls out.
Suburban Redevelopment.
Word is, you're in the pocket of some property developer?
Never. I got principles.
How did Suburban put the squeeze on you? Did they find out about your record?
There's no way you can link me to Suburban. You're wasting your time.
Gas filter, Walter Cullen testifies to being offered kickback for Reginald Varley. Testifies to Varley conspiring with Suburban Redevelopment. Matthew Ryan statement.
Ryan says you offered to cut him in on the kickbacks they were offering. He'll testify in court.
Suburban, they got real time pressure on getting some of the big developments finished. There's some big date that they can't afford to miss. So yeah, I took their money. But so did a lot of guys, all right? Carpenters, electricians, plumbers. It's no big conspiracy.
Work at Sawyer residence.
Have you ever worked on a place on Rosewood Avenue? Family by the name of Sawyer?
Maybe. I'm from out of town. I go where they send me. I don't do a lot of repairs, though. I'm flat out on new installations.
I'm gonna try using intuition here. Remove an answer. Why did it have to remove good cop? Oh, I already knew it wasn't good cop. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're not even gonna hear me out?
Have you ever worked on a place on Rosewood Avenue? Family by the name of Sawyer?
Maybe. I'm from out of town. I go where they send me. I don't do a lot of repairs, though. I'm flat out on new installations.
I don't do a lot of repairs.
Why are you lying to me, Varley? If Suburban wants their new installations completed, why are you bothering with wrecks like the Sawyer house?
So I'm lying just because I can't remember if I was there or not? How can you prove that I was?
This one, heater service by Varley.
Your name is on the inside door of their water heater.
Okay. You got me there. Suburban, yeah, they wanted that guy out. Sawyer kept complaining about not being able to get his heater service, so they threw in a free service as a sweetener. I think he played him, though, because he still wouldn't sell.
InstaHeat Model 70.
What would reversing the diaphragm of an InstaHeat Model 70 do?
Yeah, I made that mistake before. You get a big bang when you turn the pilot back on.
So you didn't deliberately sabotage the water heater at the Sawyer house?
No, I did not. You out of your mind?
Let's see.
I don't believe you, Varley. I think Suburban wants homeowners who don't want to sell out of the way.
I think you're out of your mind. Where is the evidence that I have done anything to contribute to this fire, huh?
This one, the heater serviced by Varley. It's really this one, but it's using the same evidence twice.
If you don't ask, you never find out.
I'm gonna use the intuition here again. Okay, ask the community. It's gonna be accused, but... So 2.9% of people believed him. Okay. Let me ask that.
You're off the hook, for now. What would reversing the diaphragm of an InstaHeat Model 70 do?
Yeah, I made that mistake before. You get a big bang when you turn the pilot back on.
So you didn't deliberately sabotage the water heater at the Sawyer house?
No, I did not. You out of your mind?
I don't believe you, Varley. I think Suburban wants homeowners who don't want to sell out of the way.
I think you're out of your mind. Where is the evidence that I have done anything to contribute to this fire, huh?
This, the Sawyer family heater destroyed after being serviced by Reginald Varley.
You're saying I'm some kind of psycho for hire?
That's...
It's not true.
Oh, come on. That... I'm gonna try that one more time. But that should have been it. That should have been the... That should have been... That should have been it. That should have been...
So yeah, I took their money. But so did a lot of guys, all right? Carpenters, electricians, plumbers. It's no big conspiracy.
InstaHeat Model 70.
What would reversing the diaphragm of an InstaHeat Model 70 do?
Yeah, I made that mistake before. You get a big bang when you turn the pilot back on.
So you didn't deliberately sabotage the water heater at the Sawyer house?
No, I did not. You out of your mind?
So, I messed this up before, and I'll also use an intuition point. I'll just so I don't think it's fair to, you know, to keep them on the next part. Basically, about this is, remember what the key here is. I missed this, but when you pay attention to Ryan earlier, Ryan says that if you mess up the wiring on that model, that you get a flame that comes out the other end. But Varley here is saying that you get a big bang. And the thing is, he's got the mosquito, ring in his locker. That thing, the little pipe thing. And you can put that in, and that's a delay. So that will give him a chance to get away, while that will explode and cause a fire.
I don't believe you, Varley. I think Suburban wants homeowners who don't want to sell out of the way.
I think you're out of your mind. Where is the evidence that I have done anything to contribute to this fire, huh?
Okay. I can't use some of this evidence, it's kind of weird, but, mosquito coil. This is found in his locker.
Arsonists use cigarettes and mosquito coils as time delay fuses. We found an open box of mosquito coils in your locker.
Whoa, hang on. Those things, they belong to Ryan, all right? He asked me to hold them because his locker's full of stupid pamphlets. I thought he used them for camping.
We're done for now.
So what happens?
You're either going back to Detroit to face a murder rap, or you're staying here to answer for these arsons.
So, basically is,
Yeah, I'm thinking of moving up to a 45.
this,
I wanna put it down
in
to
this
one round.
situation, you have to choose which one to charge, and there is a right answer. The right answer is apparently Ryan. If you want to get a full score, you have to charge Ryan. But Varley, to me, seems like he's the guilty one, because Ryan is an anarchist, but that's not really proof that he burned down the stuff, where Varley has the evidence
bum
stacking
took
up
a
against
swipe
the
at me,
mosquito
I
stuff
put
in
him
the
down with my
locker
sack.
that can, time an explosion fire, the fact that he has connections to the Suburban Redevelopment Fund, that he admits that they wanted to get that guy out of the way, but that guy wouldn't sell. So, to me, Varley
see
seems
his
like the
lovely
one
wife
who's the
and
evidence is
children?
stacking up against him, but the game actually wants you to charge Ryan, or I guess it's the captain's perspective.
Hey, buddy, you dropped something?
Okay, I'm just deciding on what I should do. Should I charge him to get the full score? Yeah, I'm gonna,
When is America gonna understand? It's not about getting, it's about giving.
We bust in there and find it out.
Three blondes walk into a bar. You think one of them would have seen it?
Varley's gonna get sent anyways to Detroit
How bad
for
is
murder, to face murder
on, you can tell
charges.
me.
I guess I'm gonna charge him just so I get the full score here. Yep.
Matthew Ryan, I'm charging you with committing a series of arsons and for the murders of Hank Sawyer, Edwina Sawyer, Henry Sawyer, and Jessica Sawyer.
You're putting an innocent man away here. You hear me? I didn't set any fires. I didn't kill that family.
Phelps, what you did to your wife and kids was un-American.
My wife threw me out.
Did I ask for your opinion? You're here to listen to mine. What I was going to say, before I was interrupted, was you did a good job on the Steffens-Sawyer case. We don't often get results in arson, so well done.
What about me? Do I get a little stamp on my hand or a lollipop or something?
What you get is another case. A bad one, unfortunately.
Matthew Ryan fronts the grand jury with 4 murder charges around his neck. So yeah, basically is the evidence is stacking up against Varley. The evidence is stacking up against Varley, but the game wants you to charge Ryan. But don't worry, guys, because the answer to this case will be revealed later on. I don't want to spoil it, but the answer to this will be revealed. So regardless of who you chose, you will find the right person who did it later on.
You're 2 blocks behind 1st and 2nd.
We have more buildings to clear. You know our orders,
There's
Sergeant.
barely a building left standing or not on fire in your zone, Cole. Is your sector full of Japs?
Questioning my command.
The captain doesn't want anyone falling behind.
Tell the captain we will join him when the job is done.
Just give us the word, Sarge. We'll take care of him. He should be sectioned. That Jap lover's a fucking liability.
We're here to kill Japs, not our own people.
Star-crossed son of a bitch. No one wants to serve under him. He's bad fucking luck.
Can it? We have a job to do here. If I can live with it, you can too.
So Cole is basically taking his time, just clearing out buildings that they know are empty. So he is he's really taking his time. He should be sweeping those buildings a lot quicker than what he's doing. But yeah, basically is you can see from these flashbacks that Kelso is just a much better commander. Even though he doesn't have the same rank, he's a much lower rank. He dropped out of NCO school because he just wanted to work his way up. But yeah, they're gonna reference more of Cole's past in the Pacific later on. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this part. If you did, you drop a like. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.